Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast for this week. And I am Rachel Paling, and absolutely delighted this evening to be with Clare Crawford, who has had a wonderful, interesting background to where Clare is now, but I'll let Clare explain to all of you the journey that she's taken and where she is now with language and language learning. Clare, good evening.
Okay, thanks, Rachel, and good evening. So my potted history. Okay. Actually, thinking about my interest in language. I can say, I had it. Well, I've always had it. And at university, I actually studied film and literature at Warwick University in England, and that was at 18. I was, I'd been studying English literature, and I just thought, well, I want to keep this up. But I'm really interested about how you can communicate through other means. You can communicate through music and images and so on. So I spent 3 wonderful years there, getting a humanities degree. And of course, there was the great debate and the great mystery of what to do afterwards. So I found myself working in cinema management very briefly, and then I went for the same company, I went into their marketing department. And I spent, I think about 4 years there. And it was interesting because the favourite part of my job was actually helping the assistants in the marketing department write the blurb for cinema promotions. I was doing that in London, went back to Northern Ireland and was working for a design consultancy. And again, I was rewriting a lot of press releases for various events, and I found the bit that I enjoyed the most was helping people communicate properly in writing at that point. So I think at about the age of 27, I decided to retrain. I thought I'll have a year out, and I'll do a PGCE and see if this thing that I enjoy doing, this teaching, actually translates to working with children. Mm-hmm. And it did.
Wow.
And I spent the next 13 years working in the state and the private sector, working with 11 to 18-year-old, the secondary school age. And there I specialised in both literature and language, teaching English language at A-level.
Fantastic.
And then I met a Frenchman, which brought me to France. I was a bit bored at that point. I've been doing all sorts of things, training teachers and running departments and so on. But I just thought, I want to try something. And that was kind of interesting because when I met this Frenchman, I'd had terrible results in my French O-level, as it was then. And I had kind of written off the possibility of having a second language. But when I was talking to my now partner, I kept finding that these words, these kind of isolated words, kept coming back, and also because I've been spending so much time thinking about English and the way that we structure phrases to have certain sentences to have certain effects. I sort of thought, actually, I can see the logic in French. It didn't make it all that much easier to learn, but I don't know. I mean, there were things that still evaded me and still evade me, some of the pronunciation. Mm. But it was just actually, I can learn this and I can speak it, and people can understand me. That's when I got really interested in kind of learning languages per se. I also made the switch to teaching English as a second language, right? And to teaching in companies. And that was wonderful because after the 13 years in the school environment, I was suddenly working in factories and research centres and business schools in my corner of France. And I was, being a curious Bob. I was just able to kind of see lots of different ways of working and thinking about work and conducting work. So yeah, that's kind of where I was, or where I have been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was interesting, I suppose I was doing that, let me see, I think around 5 years into the French experience.
Mm-hmm.
I got interested in coaching for a number of reasons. One because I was interested in kind of getting over a few kind of obstacles I had, working as a freelancer and, having enough energy to do everything I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired a coach. And then also, and got very interested in it and thought, oh, actually this would be something that would be useful in what I'm doing. So I took a professional coaching qualification with the business school that I had been working with as a coach, and then I just thought, yeah, but there's this link. There has to, there's a, well, actually, I think I googled language coach to see what people were doing, and that's why I met Neurolanguage coaching and where I met you.
Wow.
But that was also, and the reason that attracted me was, I think I'd spent so long both in England and in France looking for new ways to invigorate my teaching. That I kind of there was always this thing of, yeah, there's all these things I can do, but how can I help students to do more rather than me to do more?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I am.
Fantastic.
Where I am now.
Yeah, no, an amazing journey. Absolutely. Really that diversity that you're now bringing in, which really enriches the whole process. And sort of that inquisitive journey of you discovering languages, discovering French, and that your capacity as well for learning, and then that sort of bringing in the coaching and the enhancing of the learning so that other people can learn languages.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And take pleasure in it. I think that's that bit. I think it's really rejuvenating. It's really rejuvenating. I think I was older before.
Right. Yes.
Before I started going, hey, actually, there's lots of things I can learn from scratch now.
Yes.
And I can take pleasure in learning them.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's exciting.
Yeah. And isn't this now I would say it's happening to all of us, our understanding of neuroplasticity and understanding that, life doesn't kind of go downhill at the age of 40 onwards. Actually, it can go absolutely in a totally invigorating, amazing direction after the age of 40 as well.
Oh no, absolutely, and I think personally, I think it's maybe I'm overjoyed to find that because as anybody listening can hear, I come from Northern Ireland with this accent, and there's a strong not to be unfair, but there's a strong Calvinist streak, which is, you can't expect things to get better. It's like, it is all downhill from here, and you're meant to suffer. And actually, it's this thing of going, well, actually, that's a kind of fatalism which is there, which I am very well aware of. And I just kind of think, no, I kind of want to play with not thinking that way.
Absolutely.
So actually it's rewiring my brain not to go into its fatalistic habits.
Yes. Yes,
bucking the trend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well done. So, you've been teaching English to French nationals. How many years now?
9.
Right.
9 years. Yeah.
And what have you noticed that's changing in the field in those 9 years?
In terms of the French market, it's very interesting because French, unlike other European countries, they have a very interesting scheme of financing. So the government actually does something quite wonderful, which is puts money aside, money collected from companies and individuals for a training budget. I think it's mostly from companies. So there is this idea that there is that professional development, continuous development is part of our working lives. So that's something that I find interesting. I mean, I've only known the system for 9 years. I'm not even sure when it sort of was really introduced.
Right.
And it goes through various mutations. As for students' attitudes to learning, it depends. Well, I think I noticed actually there is a change from the beginning. When I arrived here, there were a lot of students who were saying, okay, I don't really need English for my work, but the company offers me training time and funding to have lessons. So there was kind of a relaxed. This was a lot of students would come, and they saw the lesson as kind of an oxygen bubble during their working day. Which was really nice. I mean, I think if you're having a language learning session, to think of it as an oxygen bubble is great. Yeah. It's a great way to think of it, because actually it puts us into that lovely learning state, or it helps us attain that lovely learning state.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing that's now becoming sort of, I don't know if I want to say, I can feel the constraints more. Right. I work in companies where time is, it's very much time is money. I work a lot with companies in the automotive sector.
Right.
And to work with people in production and logistics. They come to the sessions very willingly, but they come with their telephones because they know that they can, their mobiles, because they know that they need to be on hand, because if the production line stops or a delivery isn't made, that can cost hundreds of thousands of euros per minute. Yeah. So there's this pressure. There's also this pressure because we're in this. It's a very uncertain world in that because technology has disrupted working practices so much. Economics is, the economic situation crisis, since 2008 has caused so many changes in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
There is this sense of, we have to. It's the agile, the adaptable, the flexible who will survive, and so there's really a focus on developing what in the UK we always refer to as the transferable skills. Because we're not sure of what the next step will look like and where it will take us.
Yeah.
So we have to be open to learning. We have to be ready to learning. We have to know more about how to learn.
Yes.
And I think, that the awareness of that varies from student to student, or from learner to learner, I should say. But it varies. But there is this. Sometimes it's panic. Sometimes oh my gosh, I don't know how to learn this. I don't know if I'm capable of learning this. I don't know if I can learn it quick enough. I don't know what's the best way to learn it. And you have panic, and then on one end of the spectrum, and then you have this kind of freedom of, oh my gosh, I have this possibility to learn. And actually, I think the humans have a drive to learn, whether it's curiosity. Yeah. But there is that factor that when we can learn something, we're rewarded. We're rewarded by our brain chemicals.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, did that answer the question?
It did. Yes, absolutely. It's true. I think you're right. Now we have, especially in business, we have very, very stressed learners who are permanently on call. So the brain is permanently on that fight or flight button. Maybe even forced to learn. So the learning circumstances are really not ideal. And when we know how to learn, that's going to help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. What about language coaching, Claire? What have you noticed about language coaching in the last years?
Where to start, Rachel? I became aware of it. Actually, it was I think when I was working as a permanent employee for a French company a couple of years back, and one of the trainers that was used by this company was advertising himself as a language coach.
Right.
And I think I just started working with my first personal coach at that point, a life coach. And I thought, oh, really? Okay, so what does a language coach do? And he, luckily, or fortunately, he had a website. And of course, I was like, well, okay, so what are the qualifications? Oh, there aren't any qualifications. Okay, and so what is his, so what is he saying about language coaching? And it was just, well, we like to, I work in a free form way, and it's just really conversation. And something, my kind of, I just thought, well, what is this? Because, and that stuck with me because, since I took the French training course for business coaching or professional coaching, and that I was just thinking, well, actually, this idea of coaching as being free form and, without rules and without structure is a load of baloney.
Yeah.
But he's not the only person to do that, and I totally understand. I totally understand why somebody would do that because the I want to say l'apprentissage de langue. Language learning, particularly for adults, is a really competitive business.
It is. Yes.
And I think teachers and trainers, language experts are looking for ways to differentiate themselves.
Yeah.
And coach, unfortunately, the tag of coach or language coach, it sounds, it's newer. It sounds sexier than trainer or teacher.
Yeah.
And it's not regulated in the same way that we can say, okay, you're a teacher, show me your qualifications. Or you're a trainer, show me, again, what are your qualifications for doing this?
Yeah.
So I think there's the emergence of that. And I think, well, as we saw, in the conference for business English specialists in Romania, there was, people are curious as to how they can. Language experts are curious as to how to market themselves, and how to kind of bring value added. I think that's the other thing is that I think there's a genuine interest in really giving value to clients who are in this situation of this uncertain world and needing to learn fast and effectively and in a flexible way so that they can be autonomous.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and you're right. We were together in the conference in Iași, in Romania, and it was interesting to see the business English trainers, professionals, curious about, this development of coaching, because it really is now becoming quite a phenomenon in the language world, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think, I think it'll be very interesting over the next couple of years to see what like as in coaching, as in kind of coaching where you've got the idea of systemic coaching, or the systemic approach, or you've got the approaches which come out of transactional analysis, or I think we're bound to see different strands or different approaches to language coaching developing. I mean, you're with neurolanguage coaching, you're there as one of the first. Well, sort of as far as I know, the first that is saying this is a marriage between structured coaching, and there's my word, structured coaching and neuroscience. For the service of language learning and learning how to communicate. That you were the first one to propose that. I mean, there are other strands which lend themselves to language coaching, but are not necessarily based around language itself. They're more based around what we use language to do, around communication. So I'm thinking of conversational intelligence and so on. But I think it's almost certain we're going to see, other approaches develop, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they can offer that's not being offered.
Yes.
by another strand. Yeah?
That's right. And, as well, we'll be seeing that development together with the development of technology and how technology is actually making it sort of like maybe obsolete to learn languages.
And absolutely, and that's something in your earlier question I didn't really address is that development of blend, the blended learning, the impact of blended learning, and that's interesting because there is this idea again. Novelty is wonderful, and that idea of we can do distance learning, we can use self-learning techniques, but again, it's finding the right mix for each individual learner.
Yep.
And finding the best uses of technology to support learning, as well as the best uses of face-to-face. Because, you and I both know that there are many squandered opportunities in a face-to-face session. In a traditional session. You think, but you have to, it is a wonderful opportunity, but there are so many times where either the learner or the language professional just can't make full use of all that presents. And it's the same with technology.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, what a future that we're going to be witnessing. It's going to be fantastic. Well, Clare, I do want to thank you. I know that, now we're kind of getting ready to move on to the Christmas holidays, and I think the listeners will be hearing this afterwards. So I'm grateful to you for spending a little bit of time before you actually go across the world for your Christmas holidays. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it was a pleasure. It always does me good to talk to you.
Yes.
and it is. I think it's that. It's the fact that it can be scary. It can be uncertain. But I think it's above all, it's exciting.
Absolutely, it is exciting, and it's exciting. How we, let's say, in our little roles of educators, wherever we are, can take part in that sort of shaping how learning and language learning especially could develop over the years and the future and fascinating to be part of that and exciting. Yes. So Clare, thank you very, very much.
You're very welcome.
And I'm going to say to our listeners, thank you also for listening in today to this wonderful interview with Clare. And join me next time for my next interview with another fascinating person. So bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.